Hello, and welcome to your next lesson. Today we will review heat maps in Microsoft Excel. Heat maps in Excel is a type of map that is created to show the representation of data in different colors. The intensity of the color shows the impact on the data series over the whole data set. A heat map can be used on a variety of data sets, as today's video will demonstrate. Please open your Visual Data worksheet and go to the Heat Map tab to follow along in this lesson. Okay, so here we are on our spreadsheet, and today we're going to create three different types of heat maps. My first heat map will cover the years of 2009 to 2020 and will be based on the monthly temperature for Central Park in New York. My second heat map will give you a visual into how the glaciers in the United States as well as around the world have changed over time. And my final heat map is based on heavy precipitation events in the United States between the years of 1910 and 2015. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at our first heat map. So the heat map is created differently from other charts in Microsoft Excel. Today, we will be working with our conditioning formatting tools, specifically the color scales, to create our heat maps. Let's go ahead and dive into the first lesson. Okay, so our first heat map is based on the temperature in Central Park. And so I need to decide what color scale I'm going to use. And because we're talking about heat, I'm going to either go with the red or orange color scale. What we want to do is go ahead and select cell C4, and let's go ahead and drag it all the way down till the data is covered. Now we don't need to get the categories, only the data. Okay, so let's go to the Home tab. Let's go to the Conditioning Format drop down, and let's go ahead and select Color Scales. Now let's just hover over some of the already created color scales. Now as you can see, when I hover, you can see your heat map change. But because I want to assign specific colors to my heat map, I'm going to go ahead and say More Rules. Okay, so you will see a pop-up box open. Let's go ahead and look at our options. Okay, if you look at the format style, you'll see we have an option of a 2-color scale, or we can go with a 3-color scale. I prefer to go with a 3-color scale in this case. So let's go ahead and say Minimum. Let's get the first color drop down. Let's select a really faint or light orange. Let's go to the midpoint. Let's get a darker orange. And finally, let's go to the maximum point and let's get the darkest orange that we can find. Now let's go ahead and say OK. Alright, so now when you look at your heat map, you will see that your heat is most intense during the months of June, July, and August. You will also notice that during the colder months of January, February, and March, your heat map has faint orange colors, okay? Okay, so because our heat map is based on a color scale, I want to go ahead and hide these numbers. Again, let's go ahead and select cell C4, and let's drag it all the way over to our heat map. Okay, so with our numbers highlighted, let's go to the Home tab. Let's get the numbers dropped down. Let's go ahead and say More Number Formats. Let's select Custom, and then let's go ahead and type 3 semicolons. And this is notifying Excel that we want our numbers hidden. Okay, let's go ahead and say OK. And as you can see, you're left with just your heat map, which gives you a very nice polished look. Alright, now let's go ahead and move on to our next heat map. This data is based on the glaciers between the years of 1945 and 2015. Now because we're talking snow, glacier, water, I think I want to go with a blue color scheme this time. As you can see, the scale is a higher negative value, so I'm going to start with a dark blue and work my way to light. But it'll be just the opposite once it's applied to the scale. Let's go ahead and get started and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so let's begin by selecting cell C20. Let's drag it all the way over and all the way down until our data is covered. Let's select Conditioning Format drop down. Let's select Color Scales, and let's go ahead and say More Rules. Again, let's get the drop down for the 3-color scale. Okay, so my lowest value, I'm going to make it a dark blue because I want the dark colors on the end, and that is where my lowest value resides. Let's select our midpoint. I'm going to make that a lighter blue. Let's select our highest value, and I'm going to make this a faint gray. Alright, so let's go ahead and say OK, and let's see what our color scale ends up looking like. So as you can see, it gets light to dark. Alright, now I do want to go ahead and move these numbers. Let's select the entire data set. Let's go up to the number and get the drop down. Let's say number formats. Again, let's select custom. And let's go ahead and type 3 semicolons. And again, this is notifying Excel that we want our numbers hit. Let's go ahead and say OK. So again, you're left with a heat map with no numbers reflected. Alright, now let's go ahead and move into our final exercise, and then we'll wrap up this lesson. Okay, so our final exercise is based on heavy precipitation. It does not follow a pattern, so I'm not going to set a particular color scheme this time. What I do want to do is use one of the pre-made color schemes that's already available in Excel. So let's go ahead and select cell C31. Let's drag it over and down until all of our data is selected. So let's go up to the conditioning format drop down. Let's get our color scale, and let's just kind of flip through and see what's available. I'm going to go with the green. Go ahead and select the one that you like the best. Okay. Again, I'm going to go ahead and remove my numbers. So let's go ahead and select our data again. Let's go up to the Home tab and get the number drop down. Again, let's select custom. And let's go ahead and type 3 semicolons. And so now you can see the numbers are no longer there. Now if you decide that you do want your numbers to remain in your heat map, you just simply change the format. So instead of custom, you can just go ahead and select number, and that'll put your numbers back. Additionally, if you want to clear your rules to clear the heat maps, you would simply go up to the conditioning format drop down and simply say clear rules. Now you can clear the rules for a selected number of cells, or you can clear the rules for the entire worksheet. I'm going to go ahead and select entire worksheet. And as you can see, your heat map is no longer visible. I'm going to go ahead and undo that and put it back. And with that being said, I'm going to wrap the lesson up. I hope you found this information helpful, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, so that wraps up this video. Job well done today. Be sure to save your work and then celebrate your accomplishments. Great job!